Caitlin Clark's the new it. If you don't have a long ball, talking about the 26, 30 feet, if you ain't doing the Steph Curry, if you ain't got none of that long ball in your game, yeah, you're going to be behind.
She's doing stuff we've never seen before. Never seen nobody do that on a consistent basis. There's a lot of girls in WNBA that have done it in spurts, but you know, that game I'm watching y'all in the Final Four, I'm like, damn, like, and I was a hater because, you know, I'm down. She was like, she's not going to hit that shot, and bam, like, damn.
Caitlin Clark is a supernova who is altering our perception of the women's game, as anyone who follows basketball knows. Her genius has left NBA superstars and icons who are experts in the game in amazement. Thanks to Caitlin's play and popularity, the WNBA has become even more exciting. This is where it becomes much more intriguing though. Michael Jordan, the greatest of all time, has finally spoken up that MJ's remarks on Caitlin are revolutionary, and his admiration for her says it all. Keep an eye out because Jordan's remarks are quite remarkable. When it came to defending Caitlin Clark, NBA star Rick Barry didn't hold back. Barry made it plain in a strong statement that Caitlin's ongoing hatred from some WNBA players is nothing more than jealousy and fear of her apparent talent. His remarks were powerful and put those who were criticizing him in their proper place. Everyone who is skeptical of Caitlin Clark should listen to what Barry had to say because it demonstrates why she is deserving of all the respect she has garnered.
I think it's reprehensible what they're allowing some of these players to. Anybody that does something flagrant to this young lady for what she's brought to the game should be suspended and fined big time for doing that.
George Gervin, a legendary WNBA player, also stood up for Caitlin Clark, and his remarks had an equal impact. Gervin didn't hesitate to point out the disrespect, stating unequivocally that Caitlin's talent should be praised rather than disparaged. His statement caught everyone's attention and sent a message to those who have reservations about Caitlin. Even legends acknowledge that her grandeur is here to remain. Prepare to hear Gervin's compelling defense.
They don't know the value that she's bringing for all of them. She bringing, they flying private planes now. They weren't flying private before she came. They on major networks now. They weren't doing that. See, she remind me of Tiger Woods for golf.
Yes.
We will start with a former athlete who isn't all over the airwaves in retirement, since guys who don't have a lot of media exposure are most likely to give us their unedited ideas. For the majority of his 12 seasons in the league, Jeff Teague was a reliable starter. He also won one NBA championship ring and was named an All-Star once. However, he was never a hugely marketable personality or media favorite. Teague, who is now retired, felt comfortable criticizing the WNBA for how it handled Caitlin Clark, who had a sizable fan base when she joined the league.
Like, they played this all wrong, bro.
Terribly, bro.
They was supposed to gas this shit. This is why people don't watch this shit when y'all leave college. Women's sports, because y'all hating on the best thing that's going to happen to the W.
The main point he is making is quite sensible, even though you could argue that his delivery is unpolished. Caitlin's presence has finally started things moving on those fronts after years of intense discussion about the gender wage gap in sports and numerous failed attempts to increase the profile of the WNBA, but she still had a difficult reception. Teague makes it apparent that he believes Caitlin deserves better treatment from her peers and managers, while also pointing out that such an attitude is hurting the league's finances. Speaking of mistreatment, the media's hostility toward Clark early in the season was partially the fault of Celtics icon Paul Pierce. The 10-time All-Star publicly questioned Caitlin Clark at a young age, and his remarks about the great rookie for the Fever even sparked a racial controversy. Since then, he has made an effort to put some of that commotion behind him and has grudgingly begun to show the Indiana Fever Guard some respect. This is Pierce's statement following Clark's exclusion from the U.S. Olympic squad.
You claim you want the women's game to grow, and then you keep the most popular girl in women's basketball off the team. How do you grow internationally and domestically if you don't put her on the U.S. team? It just makes the most sense. Sometimes you have to say, hey, you guys, this is bigger than the game, which it is. I mean, women's basketball is at an all-time high because of Caitlin Clark.
Although his opinion seems respectful at first glance, a closer look reveals that Pierce is still not entirely convinced of Caitlin Clark's basketball prowess, suggests that Caitlin wasn't invited based only on merit, but he feels that Clark ought to have been on the U.S. roster to increase the sport's popularity. However, as Paul Pierce is one of the most controversial former NBA players who is now a sports analyst, his opinions should be interpreted cautiously because he may be merely attempting to maintain his relevance in the media. Shaquille O'Neal unleashed a surprise just when you thought the drama around Caitlin couldn't be much more intense. Shaq didn't hold back when praising Caitlin Clark on Angel Reese's show. Directly in front of her most outspoken detractors, an NBA icon defending Caitlyn in the most unexpected location was an incredible moment. One thing was evident from his remarks. Even Caitlyn's sharpest detractors couldn't dispute her outstanding qualities. Prepare to hear it directly from Big Diesel.
And I was a hater because, you know, I'm down. She was like, she's not going to hit that shot. And bam, like, damn, she's not going to hit that shot. Man, like if I say 10 times you're not going to hit the shot and you hit the shot, that means you're the truth. So I'm telling you now, if you just lower it like this.
Caitlyn may have suffered personally for missing the biggest sporting event of the year, but it might have turned out to be a blessing in disguise. At least, that's what three-time Defensive Player of the Year and iconic NBA center Dwight Howard believes. Back then, he reasoned that Caitlyn could use the break to hone her abilities and dominate the second half of the season, which is precisely what transpired. Looking back, Howard's comment seems almost prophetic.
She is a great player, but it's a lot of players that, no lie, who, as far as basketball-wise, they have the edge over her of why they should be playing in the Olympics right now. Mind you, this should motivate her. This should make her go harder in the gym. The 3 weeks that they off, she should get in better shape.
Caitlyn Clark's appearance has changed significantly during the Olympic break, and although we're not sure how much being left off the squad infuriated and inspired her, she undoubtedly found her rhythm. In addition to the risk for a random injury that would persist after her comeback, traveling to Paris and possibly sitting on the bench for a stacked squad might have thrown Clark off her groove. While everyone else saw just failure and disrespect, Dwight saw an opportunity for Caitlyn. He was astute enough to see that a player of Clark's quality is in a prime position to take advantage of this opportunity and demonstrate that she is superior to the majority of the players chosen before her. However, you always need to consider the big picture while dealing with Caitlyn Clark on and off the court. Hall of Fame point player Isaiah Thomas was always able to see things from every angle. Following his outstanding playing career, which included back-to-back NBA titles for the Detroit Pistons, Thomas spent several years working as an NBA executive and head coach. With one minor exception at the conclusion, Thomas's response to questions about Clark was largely favorable.
I think it's great what she's done, and I think it's great what the media and the WNBA and marketing and the players are doing because, you know, controversy is not good, but, you know, controversy sells.
Thomas did a really good job of praising everyone while simultaneously highlighting the unethical practices that underlie all of the animosity toward Caitlyn in a single statement. The media had a lot to gain by attacking Caitlyn Clark from every angle when she initially joined the league. It's no secret that fans watch to follow drama. Isaiah is right, let's just say, but he doesn't want to contribute to the issue he is portraying. Although Caitlyn Clark has swiftly garnered widespread support among Indianapolis supporters, her level of local affection still pales in comparison to some of the basketball greats of the past. Reggie Miller, a fierce competitor and superb three-point shooter who wore a number 31 Pacers jersey for his entire 18-year career, is at the top of the list of the most cherished Indiana ballers of all time. Miller went the other way and essentially stated that every rookie must learn how to cope with adversity and competition, despite the fact that you may expect him to show some respect for Clark as the Newtown savior.
What did you expect was going to happen to her? Number one, I don't think it's jealousy. Oh my God, she's getting all the endorsements. We're going to go after her. You're playing at the highest level. You're playing in the WNBA. You're coming from college and you're going to the pro ranks, right? What did she expect was going to happen? Why are people so shocked? Right? You're playing against grown women. The same thing happened to us.
Reggie Miller's viewpoint on hard fouls may not be entirely applicable to the modern NBA because he played in an era when physicality was commonplace. Let's be clear though. Beyond competitiveness, Caitlyn Clark is dealing with other difficulties. She is suffering needless animosity. Expecting WNBA players to just accept Caitlyn without a fight was never realistic. However, the degree of opposition she has faced extends beyond simply gaining her position. It seems like an effort to depress her. There is more to Caitlyn's struggle than just gaining respect. It's about standing up to the odds and demanding fair treatment, said co-owner of the Los Angeles Sparks. Magic Johnson participates extensively in women's basketball. Say result. We are aware that the star point guard who has driven 5 NBA championship teams is keeping an eye on the WNBA. Johnson mentioned other prominent rookies and provided a very perceptive analysis of Caitlyn's status in the league.
Now, Caitlyn, her teammates got to come to her defense.
Sure.
You can't allow her to have to fight every battle, right? But we have to understand that both Caitlyn, Angel, and Brink, who plays for my Sparks, they made the WNBA better. And they're going to be tested by these incredible women who've been in the league for a long time. Caitlin is the most popular WNBA player, but she's not the best at this time. Just like Larry and I were not the best when we entered the league. We became the best.
It's interesting to note that Magic compared his own competition with Larry Bird, which reinvigorated the NBA in the late 1970s and early 1980s, to the current generation of youthful WNBA players, is advocating for patience and emphasizing that in order for the young stars to overcome all obstacles and secure the top ranks in their sport, they will require the assistance of their teammates. Magic praised everyone in his usual manner, avoiding the unpleasant aspects of the argument. Even former Bamba players who have a stake in a rival team should acknowledge Clark's greatness, as seen by his extremely high evaluation of her. Magic was always refined and eloquent in his public remarks, as anyone who recalls Magic from his playing days will attest. For one of his contemporaries, that is untruth, a physically demanding player, Charles Barkley's confrontations with the media frequently resembled his struggles for position deep in the paint. The 11-time All-Star and 2-time Olympic gold medalist, who is now employed in the media and enjoys considerably more fame than she did as a player, has made numerous remarks about Caitlin Clark and her NBA career. For the most part, he has been encouraging, as seen in this video when he talks about how her form changed throughout the season.
And the thing I love about her, she never says a word. And now, when I watch her, two things I like. She's playing much faster. She was playing too slow the first half of the season.
From the college season.
They didn't even give her the understanding, like, you girls been worded for the WNBA season. Y'all been working out on the nose. She came straight out of college.
Chuck is right to point out that Caitlin Clark has been walking with greater energy lately, and fatigue may have contributed as much to her early slowdown as any defense. As a result, both Clark and her teammates had more chances to score during transitions. But Barkley also talked about how other WNBA players treat Clark, and he didn't hold back when criticizing his targets.
You women out there, y'all petty, man. Hey, LeBron, you 100% right on these girls hating on Caitlin Clark. Y'all petty, girls. I expect men to be petty because we're the most insecure group in the world. Y'all should be thanking that girl for getting y'all ass private charters, all the money and visibility she bringing to the WNBA. Don't be petty like dudes.
Apart from the lighthearted tone, Barkley has perfectly captured the main problem in the Caitlin Clark story. Petty malice is one thing, but competition is quite another. Additionally, opponents have occasionally sent Clark to the floor for non-basketball-related reasons. T seems sense to argue that instead of becoming confrontational, other players should be grateful to Clark. However, Barkley believes that the media's opinion leaders are to blame for the entire circumstance.
They cannot have this Caitlin Clark thing up any worse if they tried. People believe what we say on television. Just because people don't like you or your personality, they can't get on TV and slander you. It's just total bullshit. This girl is incredible. The number of attention, eyeballs she's brought to college and the pros, and for these women to have this petty jealousness, you say to yourself, damn, what is going on here?
Barkley's fury at what he perceives as injustice is understandable. Although the WNBA views Caitlin Clark as a cash cow, it does little to safeguard her on the court and position her as the league's future flag-bearer. Portion of that stems from corporate caution, as the decision-makers would rather wait until the season is over before developing a plan to deal with Caitlin Clark's explosive rise to fame. The other aspect might be connected to certain influential media figures' personal distaste for Clark, which is simply unacceptable in a work setting. Last, Michael Jordan spoke up about Caitlin Clark, and he didn't hold back. According to MJ, the WNBA owes Caitlin a great deal for her contributions to the sport. Jordan also demanded that officiating be changed, stressing that Caitlin has been treated unfairly by the referees and that it is time for the league to make amends. His remarks convey a strong message. The WNBA has to recognize Caitlin's influence and make sure she receives the respect she merits from players and court officials. Even Steph Curry had to comment on Caitlin Clark. After all, it's not just Luka who has been drawing comparisons between Curry and Caitlin. It's easy to understand why she has been wearing the female Steph Curry label since college. Her ability to make long-range three-pointers is already obvious. Steph Curry's shooting style has been compared to that of Caitlin Clark. There is much more to their games than just that weapon, yet they both have that incredibly fast release time that stuns opponents. Steph has noticed that unique quality in Caitlin Clark. It takes more than just shooting prowess to be like Steph. You must perform and make the game a spectacle for the audience. There must be more to your game than that as well. Even when the ball isn't in your hands. Look for methods to improve your team and have an impact on the game. That's what sets Steph apart from all the other guards who have been honing their three-point shooting. Skills at T makes sense that Steph has been frequently questioned about Caitlin Clark, and it's great that he has shown his admiration in public.
I saw somebody break down the release time, which is pretty much identical to mine. You can't help but watch when she plays, where she's shooting from, the range, the confidence, the flair. Like, she's a performer. It's crazy though, just because her shot is like that. It's at that level. If you really watch, like, her floor game is as impressive. So it's kind of the total package, and her being the French breaking that record and the amount of attention that she has gained over the course of these last couple of years. Every building she goes into, there's a different energy. Like, it's great for her, great for women's basketball.
In a historic three-point shootout with the WNBA ace, Steph played for the NBA. Steph prevailed in an exciting contest that came close to the finish. Caitlin Clark might have a chance to compete against her idol now that NBA versus WNBA three-point shootouts have been established. Although she has so far declined to participate in the three-point competition, she says she is open to doing so in the future. I'm aware that we are all hoping she does. Caitlin Clark should only listen to NBA superstars who have the resumes to support their claims if she hopes to find some comfort in their remarks. Kevin Garnett, a former MVP and NBA champion, is regarded as one of the toughest workers in his sport. Throughout his 21-year NBA career, he overcame many obstacles thanks to his renowned arrogance and tenacity. Garnett, often known as the Big Ticket, entered the NBA right out of high school and quickly became a formidable opponent on both sides of the floor, giving him a distinctive viewpoint on how basketball stars are created.
Caitlin Clark, go through shit. I'm watching all. Man, rookies, you're going to go through some shit. And guess what? When you're it, when you got the bullseye on your back, when you it, it's going to come with some shit. And nobody's hitting y'all with the step back in the high. Yeah, it's a compliment. Yeah, you fit.
Garnett believes that dealing with tough play and taunting is not only common for rookies, but also a necessary step on the path to greatness. The exceptional players develop their winning attitude as a result of having to demonstrate their value. Believes that Caitlin should simply go with the flow and accept the attention from defenses as a sign of respect. Even while not all former NBA players will agree with it, it's an intriguing viewpoint. The way the biggest personalities in the sport are. Discussing Caitlin Clark is a clear indication that her legend is still growing, to use Shaq's words. She is becoming more and more known as the genuine thing after she began to play well and her team made it to the playoffs. Proverbs states that game recognizes game. Therefore, the judgments of journalists who have never played basketball are far less important than the support of verified experts of the craft. Since many of the well-known NBA players were once rookies, they are aware of how much Clark can grow from this stage and how important it will be for women's basketball if she realizes her full potential. You can be certain that some of the greatest players in NBA history are actively monitoring Caitlin Clark's career path and cheering her on as she breaks records and transforms the sport's financial side.